Tonight on First at 9 this Friday the 5th of September 2025. The final messenger. Muslims across Sri Lanka and around the world commemorate Eid Milad-un-Nabi, the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad. Fatal fall. Deadly bus crash on the Allavallavai road claims at least 15 lives, leaving 18 others injured. President's fund to grant 1 million rupees each to victims' families. Et tu Brute. Government turning its back on school development officers who saved the education sector from doom, claims opposition leader. No history, no progress, warns MP Dilith Jayavira.
Kalin baby so rupiyal 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Dirusingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now, in your top story tonight, a tragic road accident occurred last night near the 24th mile post along the infamous Allavallavai road, claiming the lives of 15 and leaving 18 others injured. The accident occurred when the bus carrying employees of the Tangol Municipal Council and their families veered off the road and toppled down a slope of approximately 1,000 feet down a steep precipice. Meanwhile, the President's Fund announced the grant of 1 million rupees each to the families of the victims.
A devastating accident unfolded at around 9 p.m. last night near the 24th milepost along the Allavallavai road. A bus en route to Vallavaya carrying 34 passengers home from a trip crashed into the rear of a SUV heading in the opposite direction. The impact crashed the bus to crash through a roadside iron barrier and plunge approximately 1,000 feet down a steep precipice. In the immediate aftermath, nearby residents, along with a group of army officers stationed in the vicinity, sprang into action. They descended the precipice using ropes to reach the overturned vehicle and began rescue operations. Amid the chaos, a medical team from the Badulla Teaching Hospital arrived swiftly at the site to provide medical treatment at the scene itself. Once the injured were carefully lifted back up to the road with a significant effort, doctors and paramedics administered immediate medical care before rushing them to nearby hospitals. A total of 18 injured individuals were transported to the Badulla Teaching Hospital, the Diyathalawa Hospital and the Bandarawala Hospital. Medical teams at these facilities had already mobilized for emergency treatment. Tragically, 15 individuals aboard the bus succumbed to their injuries. The fatalities include the Tangol Urban Council's secretary, 12 employees of the Urban Council, 2 minors and the bus driver. Several local government officials were also seen arriving at the hospitals during the emergency response.
All patients who required urgent surgical intervention following the tragic bus accident have successfully undergone the necessary procedures. At present, there are no patients in critical condition. The children who are admitted are stable and not in danger. Even those currently being treated in the intensive care unit are not showing signs of severe complications. Overall, the situation is under control and not as dire as initially feared. The release of the bodies can proceed once the magistrate has completed the necessary inquests.
Initial investigations disclosed that the crash occurred due to the driver losing control of the bus, which was being driven at an excessive speed. However, a survivor of the tragedy told media that the bus driver had complained of brake malfunction shortly before the accident. Subsequent to the tragic bus accident yesterday, the President's Fund announced the grant of 1 million rupees in compensation to the victims' families.
රුපියල් 8,900ක මාසික වාරිකයකට brand new TVS XL 100 යතුරු පැදියක් ගන්න.
Muslims across Sri Lanka and around the world today commemorate Eid Milad-un-Nabi, the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, with religious observances, prayers and community gatherings. This year's national celebration was held at the Malay Colony Juma Mosque in Ambalanthota under the patronage of President Anru Kumara Disanayaka.
Eid Milad-un-Nabi, commonly known as Maulid or Eid-e-Milad, is a revered Islamic holiday celebrating the birth anniversary of Islam's Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad, born in 570 CE in Mecca, grew up to be a respected merchant known for his honesty, integrity, and trustworthiness. At the age of 40, he received his first revelation from Allah, marking the commencement of his mission as Allah's last and final messenger. Eid Milad-un-Nabi serves as an opportunity for communities to strengthen their bond through prayer, acts of kindness, and shared values. Muslims in Sri Lanka too renewed their faith by reflecting on the Prophet's life and teachings while emphasizing core Islamic values such as compassion, charity, peace, and social justice. The National Milad-un-Nabi Celebration 2025 was held at the Malay Colony Juma Mosque in Bolana, Ambalantota today under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake. Issuing a statement, President Dissanayake asserts that Holy Prophet Muhammad's commitment to abolishing social divides and instilling equality in the hearts of humanity stands as a timeless guide as we work today to create a virtuous society, and invited all Muslim devotees to enhance this year's celebration by adhering to the principles espoused by the Holy Prophet. While wishing peace and happiness for all Muslim devotees, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya states that the Prophet's ideals of fair governance, freedom from corruption, and inequality provide the country immense strength and inspiration at a juncture when Sri Lanka aspires for social transformation. In the meantime, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, extending his wishes for the festival, invited all to unite and stand together for our country during these challenging times, pursuing the path guided by Prophet Muhammad to build a society where people sacrifice for one another without distinction of race, religion, or caste.
Now in other news, the Sri Lankan government has approved a plan to install barrier nets within 250 permanent freshwater reservoirs over the next 2 years. According to the Department of Government Information, this move aims to prevent the annual loss of 20,000 to 40,000 kilograms of fish per reservoir when water is released. The loss of mature reproductive fish has impacted future stocks, threatening food security in rural areas. With 52 fish species being endemic from a broad range of 95 species being identified, officials say the initiative will help protect biodiversity and support inland fish production and nutrition. The first round of political consultations between Sri Lanka and Italy, co-chaired by Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment Arun Hemachandra and Italy's Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Maria Tripodi, successfully concluded at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism in Colombo. The Memorandum of Understanding on the establishment of a political consultation mechanism was signed by the two deputy ministers before commencing the consultations, providing a formal structured framework for dialogue between the two countries. At the political consultations, Sri Lanka and Italy explored stronger cooperation in workforce mobility, trade, tourism, defense, energy, food security, culture and education. Both nations agreed to fast-track pending agreements focusing on a migration and mobility partnership MOU and renewal of the Driving License Recognition Pact. Now, in moving on to your political developments, leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa claims that the government has failed school development officers whose support was integral to alleviate an ailing Sri Lankan education sector in the wake of the country's grueling economic crisis. Speaking at a meeting in Colombo today, he urged the government to keep the promises it made in the lead-up to the elections.
Members of the All Ceylon School Development Officers Union met opposition leader Sajith Premadasa today. The meeting focused on key issues grappling development officers who were trained as teachers in the wake of the country's economic crisis.
The
Easter Sunday attacks, the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic crisis prompted an acute shortage of teachers, which ultimately led to the decimation of Sri Lanka's education sector. Of the 53,000 graduates recruited in 2020, 22,000 were shortlisted to ease concerns looming over all Sri Lankan students. At the moment, bad decision-making on the part of the government has reduced this number from 22,000 teachers to 16,600 teachers. This is a very serious serious concern. Recently, all teachers took to the streets demanding higher salaries. When these demonstrations were underway, the government issued a notice compelling all development officers trained as teachers to report to work immediately. Furthermore, MPs of the incumbent government themselves took part in protests and touted that all development officers trained as teachers will be integrated into service. These MPs claim they will fight to make that ambition a reality. I urge them to now stand by what they said when they were in the opposition. If they are keen on making their promises without deception, why are they reluctant to do what's right for these 16,600 graduates? Leader of Sarvajana Balaya, MP Dilith Jayavir emphasizes that no country can achieve lasting economic or social progress without a clear understanding of its history. He made this statement while speaking at a conference held in Colombo this afternoon.
A national conference was held this afternoon at the Sri Sambuddhatha Jayanti Mandira in Colombo. The conference was held under the theme History, the Eye That Sees the Future, focused on the critical role that the study of history plays in shaping a well-informed and socially conscious society. The event was attended by many dignitaries including the Mahasangha, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, Sarvajana Balaya's leader and Member of Parliament Dilith Jayavira.
A few who want their own history to be forgotten are attempting to take away from the next generation the opportunity to learn history. For some time now, both local and international forces have attempted to erase our civilization and heritage. Those who claim that history is irrelevant often rely on the traditional argument that other subjects are more commercially valuable. They say there's little to no gain from studying history. But I can confidently say that a society without the knowledge of history is a society that lacks imagination. A society that lacks imagination cannot innovate. And a country without innovation will not prosper either economically or socially. Former Sri Lankan cricketer and ICC match referee Roshan Mahanama has stepped down from his role as a member of the National Sports Council with immediate effect, citing personal reasons. Mahanama was appointed to the NSC for the 2025 to 2028 term on the 14th of February and accepted his role on the 20th of February. This marks his second resignation from a sports advisory role, having stepped down from the Cricket Technical Advisory Committee in 2022, also due to personal reasons. Welcome back. Now in your business news, Fitch Ratings assigned Sri Lanka-based H&B Securities Limited a first-time national long-term rating of ALKA with a stable outlook. The rating reflects the Fitch Ratings' expectation of extraordinary support from parent Hat National Bank. Fitch said that this assessment is underpinned by H&B's role as the primary dealing arm of H&B, including for its affiliates and wealth management clients. The rating also factors in H&B Securities' positive contribution to the parent's profitability and H&B's oversight of it through board representation and periodic reporting. Now in international business news, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order today that cuts tariffs on Japanese car imports from 27.5% to 15%, easing uncertainty for Japanese motor industry giants. It formalizes an agreement which was announced in July to apply a 15% levy to almost all Japanese exports to the United States, including vehicles and pharmaceuticals. The lower 15% tariffs on Japanese autos, down from the current 27.5%, are set to take effect 7 days after official publication of the order. The executive order also ensures that the 15% levy on Japanese imports agreed in July would not be stacked on top of those already subject to higher tariffs, such as beef, while items previously subject to tariffs below 15% would be adjusted up to 15%. Trump's 15% tariff on Japanese cars is still 6 times what the rate was at 2.5% before Trump slapped levies on autos in April. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.